The night stretched quiet and endless along the narrow countryside road. Michael drove carefully, his old pickup rattling faintly with each bump in the pavement. In the back seat, his daughters, Lily and Emma, slept peacefully, their soft breathing filling the cabin. Lily's head rested against her younger sister's shoulder, a picture of innocence that made Michael's tired heart ache with love. He had promised them safety no matter how hard life became. Up ahead, the headlights swept across something unusual. A sleek black luxury car stood motionless by the roadside, its hazard lights blinking weakly. The hood was up and a thin stream of smoke curled into the night sky. Michael slowed the truck, frowning. Something felt wrong. As he drew closer, he saw her, a woman slumped against the guardrail, her elegant dress torn at the sleeve, blood glistening along her arm. Michael's protective instinct surged. He pulled over sharply, shifted into park, and grabbed the first aid kit he always kept behind the seat. "Stay in the truck, girls," he said firmly but gently. His daughters stirred, their sleepy eyes following him as he stepped into the cool night air. The woman looked up as he approached, her face pale under the moonlight. Despite the exhaustion in her features, there was something striking about her presence. She tried to speak, her voice trembling. "I called for help, but no one came." "You're not alone anymore," Michael reassured, crouching beside her. He opened the kit and pressed gauze gently to her wound. "You're hurt, but it isn't too deep. Hold still, all right?" She flinched at the sting but studied him closely. His hands were steady, firm yet careful, the hands of a man used to fixing broken things, from engines to scraped knees. The silence between them was filled only with the night sounds, crickets, the distant hum of the truck's engine, the faint laughter of his girls inside. "Why stop for me?" she asked weakly. Most people wouldn't. Michael glanced at her, his expression calm but resolute. "Because you needed help. That's enough reason." When he finished bandaging the wound, he helped her stand. She leaned on him, the weight of her pride giving way to the weight of her injury. He guided her carefully to the passenger side of his truck and opened the door. Inside, the girl's wide eyes watched her with innocent concern. Emma whispered, "Daddy, is she going to be okay?" "She'll be fine," Michael assured softly. The woman eased into the seat, clearly unused to the worn fabric and humble space, but grateful nonetheless. For a moment, she looked at the two little girls and then back at their father. Something stirred inside her chest, something unfamiliar, as Michael started the engine and pulled back onto the road toward the nearest hospital. The silence settled again. Yet in that silence, something unspoken passed between them. The quiet realization that their lives had just shifted in a way none of them could yet understand. The weeks after that night felt strangely different for Michael. Life at the farmhouse usually followed the same rhythm, fixing fences, tending to the tractor, making sure Lily and Emma got to school on time. But ever since he had driven that injured stranger to the hospital, her presence lingered in unexpected ways. Her name was Victoria Hale, a woman whose face appeared in magazines and business headlines, though Michael hadn't recognized her that night. To him, she was simply someone who needed help. Yet to his daughters, she quickly became something more. Victoria visited often during her recovery, always arriving in sleek cars with drivers who looked out of place on the dusty country road. At first, Michael tried to keep his distance. Gratitude was one thing, but he knew their worlds were miles apart. Still, each time she came, she stayed a little longer, sharing tea in the kitchen, listening to the girls' stories about school, even laughing when the family dog tracked muddy paw prints across her tailored coat. On one warm evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the fields in gold, another black car rolled to a stop outside the farmhouse. Michael wiped grease from his hands. Having just finished another round with the stubborn tractor, his daughters shrieked with delight, racing across the yard. "Miss Victoria!" they cried, flinging themselves into her arms as though she were already part of the family. Victoria knelt, embracing them with a smile that no boardroom had ever seen. When she stood, her eyes met Michael's across the yard. Something softer than wealth or power shone in them. "You didn't have to come all this way," Michael said, walking to meet her. His tone practical but touched with unease. "I wanted to," she replied. "The truth is, I've spent years surrounded by everything money could buy. Cars, houses, respect. But none of it felt real. That night you stopped for me, I realized what I had been missing." She looked toward the girls, their laughter rising into the twilight. This family, home, belonging. Michael hesitated, wiping the last of the grease from his palms. I don't have much to offer. You've already offered the most important thing, she said softly. Kindness, safety, love. The words hung between them, carried on the evening air. Lily and Emma came tugging at her hands, begging her to join their game of tag. She laughed and let herself be pulled into their circle, her heels sinking into the grass as though she had always belonged there. Michael stood on the porch, watching her run barefoot at the girl's insistence, the fading sunlight catching her hair. Something shifted inside him then, a hope he had long buried. He had spent years believing his life would never change, that love and second chances were not meant for him. But watching Victoria laugh with his daughters, he realized the rescue on that lonely road had rescued him too. It was no longer just chance. It was the beginning of a new life.